Jordan Taylor Holler. Happy 19th birthday. I am so happy and so proud that you have reached this wonderful age where you're able to go to college, enjoy life, and grow into a wonderful young man, especially since I have seen that you have grown into a wonderful young man online on the pictures that I saw in Moose Heart. Jordan, this message that I'm leaving on YouTube is going to be set to private. That means that this message is only going to be emailed to you and you only, so that only you and I can view it, and it's only between you and I. Now, if you want to share it with others, that's up to you. But for your knowledge, I'm going to set this to private, and it's going to be only for you. My message that I sent to you on your email was really long, and I didn't want you to misunderstand a lot of the letter, so I decided to make a little bit of a video letter of the same thing. So if I am repeating myself, forgive me. Also, if there's anything that I say that brings about more questions for you, because you don't understand yet, you're still young and you haven't lived many things in life yet, but if there is new questions that do arise, please be sure to ask, and I'll try to clarify that for you so that there's no misunderstanding. First of all, I read the comments that you left on my website, and like I said on my letter, my mother calls me Lisa. And since you're not my mother, please call me Mom or Mother or Mrs. Acosta, since I noticed that you were very angry about calling me Mom and that you don't feel I'm your mother. I feel that you have forgotten that I raised you till 12 years old, and then after that I was still part of your life, you just didn't know it. I was praying and asking the spirit world to guide you and to help you go through life. So I was still a big part of your life, you just don't know it. So I'm still your mother, but if you like, if it makes you feel better, you're welcome to call me Mrs. Acosta. After I pondered the things that you wrote, after you read about Alex's life and going to the LDS Church, taking into consideration of who you are and who you've been raised by, how can I not understand where you're coming from? I know you maybe more than you know yourself. That's because when you're in my womb and you're a baby, and of course much of your toddler and baby life has been erased from your memory, I knew you and I know a lot about you, maybe more than you know about yourself. There's so many things I'd love to share with you. You made it very clear that you're my enemy, and that you share everything with Barron, and that because Barron is my enemy, then, which, you know, that's a choice that he wants to make. But knowing that, then I'm very careful of the things that I do share with you that I think you would really benefit from. But I can't at this time until I'm able to trust you again. There's so many things that you'd be amazed at, but I can't tell you certain things. I don't want to hurt innocent people. That's why it's important that you make God your greatest source of truth, and not me, not Barron, but God, for God will not lead you astray. And remember, you're not my father, and you're not my mother, and you say that you are your father. Well, I hope you have a lot of good qualities from your father, but I know you're not him literally. I know you're half me and half your dad. As much as you don't want to be half of me, maybe that's because you don't understand me. I was married to your dad, Barron, and this is not a negative thing. This is just a lot about me that's probably important for you to know. I was very innocent, very naive. I grew up in a very sheltered area of Utah where we knew very little of the world. And when I met your dad, it was at a time in my life when I really desperately needed somebody to pay attention to me and pamper me. And I wasn't so much, looking for a spiritual man. I was just looking for somebody who could give me the self-esteem that I needed, because I had a very low self-esteem. So he gave me what I needed, and I blocked out a lot of spiritual warnings, red flags that God was trying to give me. But at the same time, I had a peace in my heart that when I married Baron, that God would work things out, that he knew that I needed a lot of things that your dad Baron was able to give me. I feel that maybe God was a little disappointed that I had not maybe held out for a husband who was more spiritually going to look out for my welfare. But I believed that religion would help Baron be a good person. But deep in my heart, I knew that maybe he wasn't going to live a righteous life. But of course, hindsight is always 20/20. At the time that you do things, you're always trying your best to do what is right. And so when you get older, you finally realize that maybe some of the choices you made were maybe not the best choices, but you did do the best you could. So after our temple marriage, Austin was born. And I was surprised when I got pregnant with him. Baron was very angry about it, and I cried. And I couldn't figure out why Baron was so upset. And he finally got used to the idea, and Austin was a great comfort to me, and God had told me he'll be a mediator for me someday in my life, and I didn't know why. It's like, am I going to divorce Baron? I said to myself, because how could Austin be a great mediator between Baron and I? And I had that feeling that maybe something would go wrong in the future, but not knowing, you just do the best that you can in the marriage that you're in. At about that time, Baron was bringing home a lot of filth into our home, pornos that I didn't know about. It was about that time that a neighbor of ours we met, the Acostas, his wife was not interested in the LDS faith, but Brother Acosta was, and he felt a connection with the Mormon people, and he found a lot of truth there, and he decided to get baptized. I felt a lot of spiritual godliness about him. That means where someone is able to put God first in their lives, and everything else follows. And no matter what the outcome, they put God first. And I appreciated that quality in Brother Acosta. And Baron felt my appreciation for Brother Acosta and my admiration for him, because Baron knew that he was not being that kind of person for me, and he could not be that type of person for me. And maybe he could in the future, but for then he wasn't going to be. But I had hopes that he would be, so I stayed in the marriage, and there was nothing sexual that happened between Brother Acosta and I. There was just a very godly appreciation for each other when we met. And Austin was a baby at that time. Rudy used to carry Austin on his shoulders and play with him in the swimming pool there at our complex where we lived, and he was very, very kind to Austin. Austin was one. Well, after this, right around that time, Baron received a special patriarchal blessing. And that patriarchal blessing is a blessing that you receive in the LDS Church from a patriarch. Patriarch is a very spiritual man who can look at your spirit and tell you many things about who you are and what's going to happen in your life, and then hope that you will do things correctly and morally and cleanly so that you can have a good outcome happen in your life. So, this blessing told Baron that Satan was very keenly aware of him and his great faith, and that if Baron was not super close to Heavenly Father and God, that he would be led astray to the dark side. And if you want, ask Baron about this patriarchal blessing. It was a very special blessing, and hopefully he still has it. If not, I can always look around in my personal things and see if I have it. I think he would really love to remember it and see how much of his life really was foretold in that blessing. Now, Baron did try to be a righteous husband at that time, but his interest was mainly into becoming filthy rich. And there's nothing wrong with money as long as God is the one blessing you with it. But I noticed that he was more interested in earning and gaining money than in doing what Heavenly Father wanted him to do. So I still had faith and I still had hope that he would turn out to be a righteous husband and father. Now, at this time, he had nothing to do with Austin very much. He loved Austin, but he didn't bond with him very much. It's about this time in Mission Viejo that I felt that there was a little spirit boy hanging around my room. And I said to Baron, I said, you know, I feel like we should have another child. Austin was about 2, 2.5, I don't know, about 2. And Baron said, absolutely not. And I said, well, okay. I prayed about it and prayed and prayed. And sure enough, within a few months of prayer, Baron's heart was softened. And he said, sure, we can try. So it took another 6 months, but around January 1992, I became pregnant with you, Jordan. And you came in the fall of 1992. I had almost delivered you in August when we were in New York, walking all over New York. But I delivered you here at home in Mission Viejo 19 years ago, today at 12:30 in the morning. It only took 6 hours for you to come. You started coming on the 10th of October. Anyway, I'm noticing that my video is getting pretty long, and YouTube only allows 15-minute videos at the very most on their website. So I'm going to close out this one as part 1, and I'll put another part 2 or part 3, whatever it takes, and I'll mark them all as private. So signing off, and I'll record part 2. Love you.